All right. So, for people who may not know what's going on in the Big Brother house, and you may not want to wait until Sunday's episode. It's Sunday's the episode where they show who goes up and all that. I do believe. Spoilers. So if you don't want to know before that show airs, okay, we're good. All right. For those who don't mind spoilers, and I don't mind spoilers, that's why I've been watching live feed Twitter accounts and just stuff all over the internet today. Because why not? Cliff wins head of household, so they try to vote him out, and it backfires. He comes back into the house, which would have been okay if he hadn't won head of household. Now, according to Cliff, and again, I'm going and paraphrasing what I've been reading and hearing from elsewhere, he didn't want to win the head of household this week. He wanted it to be 3 or 4 weeks down the road. Cliff, you were going to get voted out, and you did. Now's a good time to be head of household. So Grateful, the hateful eight, have lost control of the house. So what Cliff has done is he's nominated Jack and Jackson. So there you go. Um, it's between Mickey and Jack now, and one of them gets veto. They'll probably backdoor. Uh, it could be Annalise. It could be Christy. It could be Tommy. They're talking about this like the couples, and they're including Tommy and Christy as a couple. They're not hiding very well the fact that they knew each other before they went in the house, if they're hiding it at all. And honestly, you're going to give your game away if you're living with somebody, and people will pick up a familiarity between the two people. So, um, we're honestly at a stage now where Cliff seems to be making a smart move, even though he didn't want to. He said, I could put up Kat and Nicole, and I wouldn't have any blood on my hands. Right, you'd be voting out the only people who might keep you in the house till the end to appease the people who want to vote you out next. Stupid. So he has targeted the big targets in the house. It looks like the house is turned against Jack. They have figured out he is the biggest threat in the house, and they want him out. So even though I'm not a Bella fan, I'm not a Nick fan either, this is a good turn of events because it really turns everything on its ear. Grateful, okay, you've got 8 people out of the voters. Now you have 2 of them on the block, so that's down to 6 out of 9 voters. But when you consider this whole 6 shooters thing that's going on, they don't have the majority. They really don't. When you consider Kat, Jess, Nicole, Nick, and Bella, that's 5 out of 9 votes. They really can run the house this week, and they have to. If you're one of these people who's been a floater like Nicole or Jess, and you want to stay in the house, this is what you have to do. Because if Cliff had targeted people that were just easy and they'd already been nominated, it was no big deal, they're gone. So you end up setting it up so that Grateful just keeps picking people off. There's nothing that's driven me nuts more in Big Brother than when you see somebody, and people who watch the show know this happens, where they finally get head of household, and you go, yes, somebody who's not in the alliance has got a head of household, and then somebody in the alliance talks them into nominating people that aren't threats, and they're like, yeah, we got to get that person out next because they're a floater. No, you need to get rid of never mind, you're up next week and you're gone. So it's frustrating to see people not thinking out the long game. It's nice to see Cliff has figured out he has to make this move because he was voted out. He was voted out 6-4. So as far as he's concerned, the 6 people who voted him out, he doesn't owe them anything. He doesn't have any reason to have their backs this week. And now he can send one of them out. And if Jack goes, or let's say he wins not nomination, veto, and instead it's Jackson that goes, you've severely weakened that alliance. And from then on, you can kind of pick him out. Honestly, and I've said this before, you can take out the strongest people in this game, and you can end up with a whole different experience with Big Brother where it's really wide open. I think we're going to start seeing that. It looks like, from what I've seen and cobbled together today, that the house is divided, and with Cliff in control, it's a completely different power structure. Completely and totally different. I couldn't be happier. We'll see whether or not it stays that way, or if there's some kind of a backdoor thing that goes on, and then something else goes crazy. And again, if they end up putting up Tommy, I would think whoever he's against, whether it's Jack or Jackson, that person goes. I don't think Tommy is seen as a threat, which is weird because he is. He's likable. I know he's aggravating and grating to some people who watch the live feeds and some people who watch the show, but he seems to get along with everybody in the house, and he's seen as relatively benign and not really a threat. And I think that's what makes him a threat. So Cliff, he has the say this week, and we are now down to 9 people to get to vote this week when the nominations are finalized and we get up to next Thursday's episode, and I think it's going to be a pretty good one. Let me know what you guys think. So with Cliff in charge, I also wanted to add, I'd be remiss if I didn't add, no, Shadow, I wasn't talking about you. He just jumps up here like, are you talking about me? You wanted to add me? No, I didn't want to add my cat. I also wanted to add, Ovi was interviewed today, and they asked him about the color issue in the House and whether or not the fact that 3 minorities were voted out first is an indication of that being a driving force behind why they got nominated or voted out. He said he didn't perceive that. He didn't think there was anything overt in terms of trying to get the minority people out, but he did admit it looked bad and that it did cross their minds. There were moments where he would talk with David or with Kemi, and they would kind of discuss how, because they had different backgrounds, they couldn't really connect with the other people in the house the way they were able to connect with one another, which is kind of a nice way of saying, because of you being a different type than me, we can't really connect, which is really weird, because my whole life I've always got along with, senior high, I was always hanging around with natives because they didn't care what I wore, they didn't care what I looked like, they just cared about whether or not I wanted to hang out and just party, and and there was nothing weird, but they were good group of people. And then first full-time job that I had, I hung around with there were a couple Latino families I hung around with regularly, and they were really great people. So I guess if I was in the Big Brother house, I'd be a crazy wild card and I'd get voted out early. Look who he's hanging out with. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And this week, if they get Jack out of the house, if they can make that happen, or even if it's Jackson, if one or the other goes out of the house, it can really change the dynamic and it could make it a lot more watchable. But let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.